Hi there! Welcome to this week's episode of Driving with Johnny. I'm Johnny and I'm in a really good mood because today I'm driving this, an Acura Integra, but these three giant tailpipes mean it's not just any Integra, this is the Integra Type S. And what seems like for decades now, Honda, the brand, has kind of wandered the wilderness, kind of randomly making vehicles and naming them things like RLX, MDX, TSX, TLX. And I do this for a living. I don't know the difference between a TSX and a TLX. I remember none of them were great. However, somebody at Acura said, hey, you know what? We used to make great cars. And we gave them cool names, things like Legend and Vigor and Integra. Not only that, an Integra was always a better version of a Honda Civic. Well, guess what? The Type S here is Acura's version of the Honda Civic Type R, the best car Honda makes. This raises several questions. One of them's already answered, and that is it any good? Yeah, if it's based on a Honda Civic Type R, it's awesome because that's one of the best driving cars at any price point. Number two, is the Type S worth $7,000 more than a Civic Type R? And number three, would I buy one? More importantly, would you buy one? Well, you know what I like to say. Let's find out. As far as design goes, overall, I like the way this car looks, and I think it's much better looking than its platform mate, the Civic Type R. The grille, it's the best example of Acura's, I think they call it their Arrowhead grille. This is kind of Dave Merrick, who used to be the head of design. He pushed for this. He's retired now. Still very much with us, but yeah, this looks really good. I don't know if it's functional, but I really like how this hood vent looks. The line works good. It's strong. I like that they stamped Integra into it so you don't mistake it for anything else. I like the big vents. I like the flared wheel arches here. Gold wheels. I mean, come on, it's great. Side profile is kind of maybe the most generic part. It really does scream Honda more than anything. Coming out back, big taillights, that's cool. It's a hatchback, that's cool. I love the triple pipes. Look, overall, it's not groundbreaking design. They're not doing anything radical or new, but it has a very distinct point of view. It says, I'm a sporty car, and it does that rather well. A couple of stats for you before we get going. It's a 2-liter turbo inline 4-cylinder engine. Got all the VTEC. It makes 320 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. It is, of course, front-wheel drive only, and it's 6-speed manual only. So those are good things, right? Now, some of you might be like, well, front-wheel drive, and yeah, usually, you don't get excited about front-wheel drive, but front-wheel drive done well. And if I can go back to my bad beer analogy from the Lotus Emira Turbo SE video, yeah, bad front-wheel drive sucks. Good front-wheel drive, like we get here in the Integra Type S, is terrific. It's really, really, really good. A little bit of tire squeal on these tight corners, but the thing is, the speed at which this car is able to get around corners, going back to the first generation Civic Type R that we got in the States, it's always been remarkable. I don't really know how they do it, but it's never had the straight line speed of, a real performance car, although 320 horsepower is pretty good, but it hangs in the corners. A Lamborghini is not necessarily going to corner quicker than this thing does. The speed you can take around corners in this car is near magic, and yeah, front wheel drive gets it done, so that's good. You do get, in second gear, you get a little bit of torque steer, but above that, not really. You really kind of don't. So stay at a second. Now, it wouldn't be a good review of this car if we didn't take a moment and talk about how just incredible the shifter is. The actual physical act of shifting this car is so wonderful and pleasurable. I think the best manual transmission in terms of feel that you can buy is the Porsche GT3 manual, and second is this. Type R is the same. You just want to shift it, and it just feels really good. I don't know. It's such a cliched thing, but the bolt action on a rifle. There's this good mechanical, physical engagement you get when shifting this car, and it's just terrific. Now, I know how Porsche does it. Their synchros are actually metal, so when you're engaging a gear, you're pushing metal through metal. I believe, like most other manual transmissions made in the last 30, 40 years, these are plastic synchros, which is fine, but Honda, Acura, just hats off. I bow to you. A friend of mine is starting a hypercar company, maybe a supercar, and it's going to have a manual transmission. And he was asking me, "Hey, besides the Porsche GT3, who else makes a good transmission?" And I said, Civic Type R or Acura, Integra Type S. And I have a mutual friend. She has a Type R. I sent her over. He drove it, and not only did he like the way it shifted, he then bought one. So that's how good it is. And if you're one of those people the save the manuals crowd, and you just have to have a manual, and it's not a real car unless there's a manual, buy this. Unless you can afford a Porsche GT3, which I think now is close to $300,000, then buy that. But if you can't afford a Porsche GT3 and you like shifting gears, Integra Type S, baby. The $7,000 difference between the Integra Type S and the Honda Civic Type R. One's an Acura, one's a Honda, and Acuras cost more than Hondas. That's just how it is. Don't like it? Buy the Honda. I will say the interior on this is a little nicer, although the Type R interior is quite nice, but these seats are a little bit more leathery, for lack of a better term. The other big thing, though, I think is ride quality. The previous gen Type R rode magnificently, and when it came out, we were shocked by it because, it was on 20-inch wheels, which at the time was gigantic back in whenever that was, 2017 or so. And back then, big wheels meant lousy ride quality, and it never had it. And then when the new Civic Type R came out, the next gen, the ride quality was worse. Now, what do you do if you have a real good car to make it feel more sporty? A lot of times you just stiffen it. So I thought that was a real step backwards for the Type R. Well, guess what? These semi-active dampers here on the Type S are tuned better, I think, and maybe the spring rate's a little different. I'm not 100% positive on that, but the ride quality on this is much less punishing than it is in the Type R. And I know the test numbers on both, and they weigh about the same. I think the Integra makes 5 more horsepower, but I think just because of the difference in the suspension on a handling course, the Integra is like 1/10 of a second quicker than the Type R is. So, you do get a little value for money. I think this looks way better. I like the way the old, I know everyone said it was too boy racer, but I like the old previous gen, FL5, I think they call it, Type R. It's kind of cool. New one's just sort of like a Civic with a big wing. This, I really prefer the looks of this. And, and I love that there's a new Integra, and once again, it's a hatchback. One thing you don't know about me, I took my driver's test in an Acura Integra. That's right, my mother had an 86 Integra. I'll never forget it. It was champagne colored. It was a 4-door. It had pop-up headlights. It had dealer-installed leather seats, which was a huge deal back in 1986. I think we actually bought it in 87. It had 113 horsepower back when the Civic had 88 or 90. I don't remember exactly, but there was a huge difference. And back then, 113 horsepower was something to get excited about. So I would have turned 16 1991. So yeah, she still had it, and I took my driver's test in that. So always have a soft spot for 4-door hatchback Integras. And then you might say, well, wait a second, don't you own a GR Corolla? Why didn't you buy this? Oh, great question. This was $10,000 more than I paid for my GR. GR was 47. This is 57. So, 10 grand's a lot of money. But, also, why didn't I just get a Civic Type R, about the same price, blah, blah, blah. I prefer the way the GR Corolla drives. It is as simple as that. I cut my teeth driving fast in WRXs, and they were all-wheel drive and little turbos, and they had manuals. And the GR Corolla is a turbo all-wheel drive manual, and to me, it's just my idea of a good time. Isn't this a good time? Absolutely. If you like this one better, you should buy this one. I have no qualms saying that the Integra Type S is just magnificent. It is just a terrific performance car. A lot of people, I think, would drive the GR Corolla and this back to back and say, I like the Acura better, and that's totally fine. I think a lot of people would drive a lot of BMW 3 Series and say, I prefer the Integra. And yeah, it's just that good. So I really cannot stress enough how well this car not only drives, but corners. Like, it loves going around a corner. It's just terrific at it. Such a good backroads car. And it's a quick car too. Despite only being front-wheel drive and only having 320 horsepower, it just hauls. It's funny too, like when you're on the freeway, just kind of where I normally, the percentage that I like to push the pedal when I'm on the freeway in 6th gear, the car wants to go 87 miles an hour. That's kind of its like natural state. And I've long felt that, like, there's a certain speed that like every car is comfortable at, kind of like how musicians say that every guitar has a song in it. I feel like there's a speed that cars like to go. This one likes to go 87. Sorry, officer. But yeah, I mean, to get back to the questions we began the video with, is it worthy of the Integra badge? 1,000%. Home run. Acura, more like this. In fact, if I was somehow, given power there, I'd say we're not going to release anything that isn't as good as this. This is the new baseline for the company. SUVs, sedans, whatever, supercars. It's got to be at least this good to drive. We can go up, we're not going down. Is it worth $7,000 more than the Civic Type R? Were I in a position to afford both, I would say yes. I would rather have this over the Civic. And, if I got a 4-year loan on the car, that's less than $2,000 a year, I would totally pay it. Yeah, I think for sure this thing is the one I would want. And then would I want it? Yeah, honestly, as a GR Corolla owner, if this was the car I came home to every day instead of the Toyota, I'd be stoked. Yeah, it's just a great car. There's really nothing bad to say about it. It looks good. It drives phenomenally. It's got, for all intents and purposes, the best shifter most of us will ever be able to afford. And yeah, it makes good noises. The tech is good enough. It's comfortable. I'm trying to think what I don't like. I love the manual. I would buy the manual. It's interesting they haven't done an automatic. I don't know if they have a front-wheel drive automatic that can handle the torque that this motor puts out, which is probably why they've never done one for the Civic Type R. But it's just interesting because, look, if, I don't know, a car where a manual is offered, if the take rate is like 50%, that means 50% of the buyers aren't buying a manual. So that's interesting. I again, doesn't really bother me any, just from a business case point of view. Seats could use more bolstering. Aha! The seats could use more bolstering. Come on, Acura. Yeah, if you're gonna make a car that can go around corners like this, hold me in place. Dude, this thing just scoots. Oh, one more cool thing. When you start the car, it's in sport. You gotta like take it out of sport to get to comfort. And still rides really well in sport. I love it. Yep, great. Great job, Acura. Way to go. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Driving with Jonny. If you liked it, become a member. It helps in a lot of ways. Financially, of course, being the big one. If you have something to say, got comments, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.